Shalom, my name is Adam Wasser from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, New York. On the topic of Barack Obama and should the Jewish people re-elect Barack Obama to a second term. The issue with Barack Obama is that he came to office some 3 years ago in a crisis situation where the economy was in turmoil, people were losing jobs at rapid rates, and we were in a war, actually 2 to 3 wars, depending on how you look at it. And this man came to power with the idea that he would end the wars and bring our country back to economic stability. When Barack Obama was elected, the Republican Party said right out loud to the whole world, we will not allow this president to be a two-term president. We will make him a one-term president. In the last 3 years that Barack Obama has been president, the Republican Party, unfortunately, has worked to sabotage his presidency by constantly vetoing and going against his policies and resolutions in the Congress and Senate. The Republican Party looks at Barack Obama as someone that they must defeat. It is not a question of do we disagree with his policies, but it is a question of we do not like him, so therefore we will not vote for him. Now, I do support Barack Obama, I won't deny that, but I will give him criticism in the fact that when he was running for president, he was adamantly against the Republican Party, and he ran on a liberal train of the idea that everything that is conservative, everything that is Republican, he is against, and he will destroy the Republican resolutions and laws that were passed during the time of George Bush Jr. And I think in many ways the Republicans rejected this, and they hated him so much because he was so much against them. But in actuality, in the last 3 years, he has come more towards the middle, the center of between Republicans and Democrats than most presidents have in the past. He has changed his ways of thinking and changed his ideas on what the country needs and what it doesn't need. But because of how he ran in his first run for president, it hurt him a lot. Because the Republicans wanted him so bad to lose and wanted him so bad not to get a second term that it screwed things up. But here's the thing. What was then was then. What is now is now. And if we continue on looking at, well, that's how it was then, so we have to work against it, this is the wrong way of thinking. Okay, he made a mistake, Barack Obama, in the way he ran his campaign, that it was ultimately against conservatism. But now we have to say, what are we going to linger on this situation of how he was before? Or are we going to work with a man who is willing to work with both sides? Because obviously Barack Obama is willing to work with both sides. His jobs plan, where we're rebuilding the roads of America and the bridges of America and putting more in schools, with more teachers into power and basically making our infrastructure greater. It is a great plan. I totally agree with it, and it'll bring many jobs in New York City and thousands and tens of thousands of jobs across the nation. But the Republicans adamantly will not vote for this plan. They're adamantly they will not sign this plan on. Now, is it a question that they're against it? Because we all know we need to get our streets and our highways and our bridges back up in part. But it's not the question that they are against the plan. It's that they're against Barack Obama signing the plan on. They're against the idea that he will get the recognition that he brought this about. This is, in my opinion, totally absurd, because we are in the third year of Barack Obama's term, and what was then, but now we must work together. If we want to rebuild this nation, if we want to make it grow and prosper, we have to work together. The fact that the Congress today is in such stagnation because of political powers of who can gain votes and who can look better than the other has failed, because most people are against the government. Most people look at the government as a failure because of the idea that of this political, we need to fight against the other party because they are the other party. It's not a question of disagreement in I agree with this, I disagree with that. It's more of, you're a Democrat, I'm against you. You're a Republican, I'm against you. Because, yes, the Democrats and the Republicans have disagreements in certain issues, But overall, right now, we're not so different. Like, we know that green energy, for example, is the way of the future. But the question is, are we ready to start green energy full force, or are we still going to go with oil and gradually grow into green energy? Democrats will say, let's go full force into green energy. Republicans will say, no, let's do it on a gradual basis. But really, we are in that agreement of compromise. The pipeline that was proposed to be built from Canada to Texas was vetoed by the president. Now, he says because of environmental policy. I don't agree with it. I think we should build that pipeline. But on the other issues, yes, I agree with President Barack Obama. We should go full force into green energy, which Republicans are against. Other issues like Medicare. Now, I'm a young guy, but since I can remember, we've been fighting over Medicare at least since I can remember, since George Bush Jr., Senior, and it's been a hot topic ever since then. And there was never any resolution. There was never any change. It was just fighting, bickering. Nothing was done. Barack Obama, whether you agree with his um, Medicare, Medicaid plan or not, Obamacare, that's fine. But at least he was able to do something that other presidents weren't able to do. He was able to pass a Medicare, Medicaid program. Now, I don't think whoever is the next president is going to be able to change this plan overnight. I think the Obamacare is going to stay in place for a very long time. And I think it'll be known as Obamacare, whether we like it or not. But it had to be done. Now, people will say, well, Barack Obama promised to close down Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, and has not. In fact, it has grown since he became president. Well, a lot of presidents and a lot of people running for presidents promise a lot of things to their constituents, and they don't go through with their plan. This is one thing that did not go through because he realized when he became president he could not close down Guantanamo Bay because to remove terrorists, people that were clearly wanting to kill Americans, and to move them into practical prison cells in America was unpractical and dangerous. But at the same time, he did end the Iraqi war with America. He did kill Osama bin Laden. And yes, George Bush Jr. intended on ending the war in Iraq the same time that Barack Obama did. But, he held to that plan. He said, we need to end this war, and I'm going to do it. So, there are things that Barack Obama does and carries by that are conservative and Republican, but also liberal. He has become a middleman. He has become a man that is willing to compromise, willing to work with both parties. Yes, when he became elected, he wasn't willing to do that, but he has changed. Now the question is, do we re-elect Barack Obama? Do we say, we're going to give you a chance for another 4 more years? Yes, we have gone down by 1% when he was elected. 9.5% of America was unemployed. Now we're down to 8.5% unemployment. Now that doesn't count the people that are working off the books, which I think it will bring it down to 6.5, but that's another issue. And he's also willing to give immigrants American citizenship and to allow illegal immigrants more status in America, which is a necessity, people. Every country of the Western world, Europe, Israel, and America, depend on foreign workers because there are some jobs that we will not do as Westerners. In Israel today, we have hundreds of thousands of people from Thailand and Indonesia areas who are working on a visa to work in America, to work in Israel, because there are jobs that Israelis will not do. And if they do them, they're going to want a lot of pay, and that will bring up the price in the goods. So this is a problem, and especially in Europe. Like, they're dying for people to have more children because they're not able to build up the population, so they're dependent so much on foreign workers. And the same thing is true in America. Somebody that's willing to wash dishes for $4 an hour is very hard to find in America. And if you say, well, wash those dishes for $10 an hour, then the person that's in charge of that business is going to raise the price. So immigration, whether it's legal or not, is a necessity of America. And Barack Obama is dealing with this. Barack Obama is also dealing with the issue of revitalizing the economy. You know, he gave that stimulus package to the car manufacturers of America, and people were against this, including Romney. He was totally against it. But yet now we find that car manufacturing in America is greater than it's ever been before, and that Detroit is becoming a renaissance. Believe it or not, Detroit. But it is because of that stimulus, because Barack Obama did not give up on the car manufacturers of America. Nick Romney, he did. Now, my problems with Nick Romney are very broad. I feel the man is a rich man that, there's nothing wrong with being rich. But he is a man out of character in the fact that he's trying to run for president not for helping Americans, but for his own value of I am the greatest. I am the ultimate. He's not running to help you or me. He's running for his own, what's the word? Uh, History of going down as a president. And he's always been that way. It's about him. It's not about us. And I think most of us realize that. And Newt Gingrich, well, I remember Newt when I was a kid growing up. I used to be a Republican. I used to be a conservative Republican, and I supported Newt Gingrich, and I supported, getting Bill Clinton impeached back in the 90s. But I have a serious problem with the fact that, Newt Gingrich cheated on his wife while his wife was dying of cancer. I have a serious problem with the fact that Newt Gingrich has shaded issues in immigration, where he's for immigration, but yet he's not for immigration, and he calls himself an historian. He calls himself a Reagan Republican, but in fact, Reagan was a good president. I'm not saying anything against Reagan, but we did go through some serious economic times with Reagan, and it wasn't until Bill Clinton was elected and went through at least 4 years that the economy really got great. I don't remember the 80s being a time of success economically. Reagan was a good president, but the economy wasn't really that great during Reagan. And for Newt Gingrich to say, oh, the Reagan years were the fabulous time, the 80s were the best time, I just don't remember that. Good music, but economically, not so. And as far as him being a historian, well, except for Abraham Lincoln, all his historian is all about the great revolution of Reagan and what Reagan did. But he forgets to bring out the years of the 40s and the 30s and how the Democrats, Arnold, under well, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm sure right now, if you're listening, you can criticize me in the fact that I forgot Theodore Roosevelt. And not Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt was the man, the Republican from New York, who brought a lot of people out of the sweatshops and said, we are going to make economic progress for people that work in the sweatshops and factories and give them a more fair share of economics in America. But Theodore, I keep on saying Roosevelt. Let's just say Roosevelt was a president, a Democrat who was the longest term president in America, and a Democrat, and from New York. And he said, okay, we are in economic times. We are struggling. We are in the depression of the 30s, and we're going to build roads. We're going to build parks. We're going to build. We're going to build. We're going to build. We're going to build. And it brought us out of the depression. Roosevelt brought us out of the depression. A crippled man brought us out of the depression. And Obama runs in this kind of idea that let's restructure our roads and our bridges and let's build. Let us put people back to work by building up America and making it grow. But the problem is the Republicans are doing everything they can to stop this. And I feel that the Republicans have an idea that they will veto everything that the president brings upon them. They will stop everything that the president brings upon them. But once they have their man in power, then they'll start signing the checks and signing the legislation to allow a lot of President Barack Obama's policies to go forth. I support President Barack Obama, and I feel that everybody should vote for him because the Republican candidates are not what we need for America right now. They're not bad people. Maybe Newt Gingrich, even though he says he's born again. But we need somebody who has this plan and has something that's practical for America, something that's going to work. I also feel President Barack Obama has been a very good president to Israel because he has backed off of Israel. He is